Nednwoko is not giving up on this issue anytime soon, especially when he have find out that Regina might not return back to him. Because with the way things are going, I don't even support Regina to go back to Nednwoko, because if Regina ever goes back there, maybe she might not live to tell the story. Ned just shared a video. Let me just show you the video. Look at the video. He shared these videos. There are so many, but I will not play it due to copyright issue. So when he shared those videos, look at what he wrote. These videos show Sammy, Regina's brother, repeatedly coming to my home and harassing my children and domestic staff, especially whenever I was not around. His visits were often aggressive and disruptive. This is someone I sponsored through his last 2 years at the University of Ekpoma. I bought his musical instrument, rented and furnished a flat for him in Abuja, in addition to the house I bought for Regina in Asaba before our marriage for the use of all of them. I also routinely provided allowances to all members of her family, including her mother, Rita Daniel. Indeed, in the last 2 years, I have a record of transferring 125 million to her alone. When Regina started her rehabilitation, there was a clear instruction by the doctors to strictly restrict people, especially her enablers, from having access to her. The therapy was arranged after I noticed troubling changes in her behavior linked to her dependence on certain illegal substances, including going for 48 hours without sleeping and eating every 2 hours. Unfortunately, Sammy, Destiny, some of their siblings, together with a few of their friends, notably Sonia Uche Montana. Uche Montana, is it the one I know? Among others, constantly defied those instructions. They would come into the house uninvited, sometimes forcing their way in, and would bring her the same drugs that was being treated for. Instead of helping her recover, they encouraged her addiction and completely frustrated the effort of the doctors and therapists working with her. It is important to note that Lawrence, Sammy, his girlfriend NK, Destiny, Sonia, and others also took the same drug as Regina. In fact, Lawrence and Sammy were the ones who first introduced and supplied those drugs to her. They were deeply involved in the habit themselves, and rather than helping her get better, they kept drawing her back into the same destructive lifestyle. I do not drink alcohol nor smoke. In fact, I am a vegetarian. So I found these characters and behavior reprehensible and totally unacceptable. Just 4 weeks ago, I woke up around 5 a.m. and realized that Regina was in my room and on the phone. She was clearly high, and she knows that I do not want her in my room in that condition. I asked her to go to her room, and she told me that Sammy's girlfriend was in her room. I was alarmed and angry because that girl should never have been in my house, let alone around Regina, since she is one of the enablers who constantly bring her the substance she is addicted to. I told Regina that the girl had to leave, and one of my drivers dropped her off. 30 minutes later, Sammy came to my house shouting and demanding that I come downstairs to face him. He said I had no right to ask his girlfriend to leave my house. He was ranting and threatening, waking up everyone, including the children. I eventually went downstairs and had to instruct the security to physically push him out of my compound. The level of audacity was shocking. Without the influence of drugs, could he have been so bold and disrespectful? They did not stop there. On several occasions, they verbally assaulted and intimidated the police officers stationed at the house for security. The officers were simply following instructions to restrict access for the sake of Regina's recovery, but Sammy and his group would insult and threaten them. Whenever Regina wanted to go out and I was not around, she would become extremely hostile towards the police domestic staff. She would shout, threaten, and use abusive words, insisting that she must leave the house no matter what. There were at least 2 serious incidents where she left home in the evening and did not return until the next day. The first incident, she returned in the morning around 9 a.m. When I asked where she had been all night, she casually said she was at a nightclub. When I questioned why, she would stay out all night, ignoring my calls and refusing to answer any messages. Her response was, "You are not my father, so don't ask me where I was." I found out that she was with Cassie, and that Cassie was staying in Regina's house in Life Camp. Cassie is the chemist and supplier of the group. I had to go to Life Camp at 6 p.m. to ask her to leave. With her around Regina, the therapy became a joke. On another occasion, on the kid's birthday to be precise, I returned home with the kids because Regina said she would stay with her Nollywood friends for dinner. She didn't return until 5 p.m. The next day, I took so much nonsense just for the sake of the kids. I also knew that drugs had a lot to do with it. As to her reasons for continuing with drugs, she will always say, just like her mother, that it is a celebrity's lifestyle. They will also always mention two well-known pop stars. Imagine the pain of a husband trying to help his wife recover, only to have the process sabotaged by her siblings and friends, the very people who should have been supporting her healing. This pattern of behavior made it almost impossible for her to recover. Each time progress was made, they would undo it by smuggling in the same drugs she was fighting to give up. The entire household lived in tension and fear because of their constant harassment, interference, and disregard for boundaries. It would be interesting to know her reasons for the violent behavior in the house the day that Sammy and other siblings came and attacked my staff and security, taking Regina away after doing a video which they posted the next day. Why did they do that video? Why did they post it? They simply planned and orchestrated the script all in my absence. Regardless of the fact that my kids were there, they took away many things from my house, including one of my phones, money, and other items. Everything that happened that day was in my house, in my absence. Nobody was beaten, and nobody could have completed that. It is blatantly false to say that I sent thugs to beat Regina in another house. The video that went viral was filmed entirely in front of my house by Regina's sisters and friends. It was a pure Nollywood scenario in front of my property in my absence. Sammy should have a life of his own outside of Regina and focus on building his career independently. When his brother Lawrence went to London a couple of years ago to do his master's degree, I personally sponsored him with $75,000 for tuition and upkeep. I sent him abroad partly to help him escape the toxic environment of drug exposure and bad influence around them at the time. Out of fairness, I offered Sammy the same opportunity, but he declined, insisting he wanted to remain in Nigeria to pursue his music career. Unfortunately, he has since been arrested several times by both the police and the EFCC. His behavior has become increasingly violent and unstable. What he needs now is total rehabilitation and professional guidance. Otherwise, his aggression and self-destruction tendencies will only worsen. Hey! Imagine, whoever that have written this, they took their time to fabricate all of this. Anyway, whether fabrication or is true, I don't know. But like I will always say, Ned is prepared for Regina, just to make sure that Regina did not collect those kids from him. Yes. And the part where he is recording the amount he have spent on his in-laws. Why is it that nobody is talking about locking Regina up and injecting her, that like she said? I did not see any of that in this write-up, although I'm not even expecting to see it. So, with all of this that Ned is saying that the in-laws are doing, I said it, he is prepared. But at the end of the day, I will advise Regina that no matter what, because all of this is just a way to bring her back to that house. But I tell you, if Regina ever goes back to that house, she might not live to tell the story. That is what I think. I don't know what you guys think. Because this is not the first time it is happening. I wonder why all this episode did not come out during Lila's own. Maybe because Lila did not share an abusive, domestic violence video. Maybe because she did not share that one. She just walked out on her own. And that is why her own just ended up with about few pages of her character in the house. Hey, you see, I was thinking that when a man marries a younger woman, she should know how to go about it. She should treat them better. Yes, when I was growing up, I was thinking that, oh, when you get married to an old person, that all these family marriage dramas, you will not be seeing them, because the man will always act accordingly. But in this case, the first one, that Chantel, left, and some people said up to now Chantel have not been herself due to what she passed through in the hand of Ned. Lila too, Lila left. The same Ned came out and told us how Lila is a prostitute, how Lila have been following men, how Lila did this, did that. Then Regina's own is drugs. And with all of this write-up and everything, I just pray that Regina should not go back to that marriage. If not. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think about it. And subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get more notification and more updates on this, okay? Bye. I love you.